Welcome to the Voice of Guo Media. And today we also join us also two of our friends from VOG, our old friends, Kevin and Jane. And also we only welcome today a new friend, Vicky, also from our volunteering group in VOG. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Vicky.
Would hello. You like to
introduce yourself?
It's really exciting, and I heard about you guys already make 5 episodes, and that's really great. And I also heard about there some people from Korea, they even watch our show. I think no matter how many people watch our show, that's really something. I never see Chinese people that do something like that before. So good luck for us.
Thank you, Vicky. Hi, Jane and Kevin.
Hi, I'm Jane. I'm volunteer at VOG. It's a great honor to be here.
Hello, Michael. Hello, audience. I am Kevin. It's my honor to be here.
Hi, and today we are gonna talk about the topic in Hong Kong. And first of all, we are going to talk about the CCP's unkept promise to the Chinese people and the world. We follow the news from Hong Kong as it is a hot topic recently, as we have seen that so many brave Hong Kong people walking on the street to fight for their rights in freedom and also the rule of law system that promised by the government. So we think it is very meaningful for us to look back for what CCP has been doing for the decades of years, especially their promises. They kept or unkept their promises to show that a clearer picture of the party. Okay, in the first part that also continue that we in the last episode we talked about the topic also in Hong Kong, and we know that how the Chinese government breached the Sino-British Joint Declaration. They claimed that it is just a historical document. And I think that the Kevin has already known a lot of he has some words on this topic, especially on the degree of the autonomy in Hong Kong, that he also feels so passionate that that's wanting to join the protest in Hong Kong.
Thanks, Michael. I do want to participate in in person in Hong Kong. Well, but I can't do that. But I do support their protest. As we can see, actually, the Sino-British Joint Declaration here, we made some abstract from this this document, and we can see we actually underline the key points. I mean, these are the promises made by CCP, right? First, I mean, here they said the Hong Kong Special Administration, they will enjoy a high degree of autonomy, right? And here it said it is going to have an independent judicial power, and the laws currently enforcing Hong Kong will remain basically unchanged. And also here, it has mentioned that the chief executive will be actually appointed on the basis of the results of the elections or the consultations, which means this is the universal franchise for the Hong Kong people. But until today, we know that the Hong Kong people, they cannot elect, their chief executive. And actually, the most important things is in the last session in here, because CCP also promised that the current social and economic systems in Hong Kong will remain unchanged, as well as the Hong Kong's lifestyles. And here, the rights and freedoms, including those of the persons of speech, of the press, of the assembly, association of travel, movement, correspondence, strike, choice of occupation, academic research, and religious belief will be ensured by law, right? And also they promise to protect the private property ownership of enterprises, and legitimate right of inheritance and foreign investment is also will be protected by law. But we can see CCP has been doing, since Hong Kong's handover to China in 2017, these basic rights has been slowly eroded by CCP.
Yes, and we can see that the CCP has become more dominant in almost every areas in Hong Kong. So that's the reason, also the major reason that the people are walking on the street to fight for their, to acquire the rights that the CCP promised.
Yeah, that's right. As we can see here, the freedom of speech, in Hong Kong, 2 million people are protesting on the street, but the media, the Hong Kong's media has been silent, right? They're silent towards this. And as Miles Kwok had said, his property and many other of his friends' property, they were taken away by CCP, right? There's no rule of law at all. But here, CCP promised to give them, to protect, the private property and to protect the ownership of their enterprises. Right, we can see these things are very ridiculous. Right, what CCP has been doing, they're not protecting, the basic rights. They are trying to violate. They're eroding, the basic rights granted by the British people to the Hong Kongese people. Right, they were doing exactly the opposite thing.
Right, they've been kidnapping people from Hong Kong. The extradition bill would just legalize the kidnapping, so that they can capture anyone on the streets of Hong Kong and send to mainland China for persecution. That's why we have to stop this evil bill.
Yes, sure.
Definitely should be stopped.
Yeah. So as shown in this picture, in this gray picture, that we see a figure that writes Hong Kong in front of his face, just a knee down in front of the two persons. I think here, of course, the boss is a CCP, and here's an old lady holding a rolled paper, writes the Sino-British Joint Declaration. Actually, it was just, as they said, a historical document, and only a history. And also, let's move on to the next part, that the CCP's unfulfilled commitment to WTO. As we know that before the 2001, the Chinese government, actually the CCP, has had tough negotiations with the world, especially with the Western world, in order to join the WTO. They have many promises. As we can see here, that in this list, the 10 promises. And also, as the time goes by, that we can see that how the CCP is doing has provoked the world. For example, in here that we show a picture, that a screenshot from the CECC, Congressional Executive Commission on China, in America. It says that China's failure to honor WTO commitment subject of the CECC chair's letter to U.S. Trade Representative. It shows us that the CCP violate its WTO commitments majorly in three ways. First, the failure to embrace rule of law, the second, internet censorship, and then the arbitrary detention. Well, this looks like quite like exposed coming from Miles, because this all the how to say what the evil CCP is doing, and the biggest threat to the world.
Right. Peter made a movie about a documentary called Death by China. So it's publicly available on YouTube. So people can go search that documentary and get more information. It says how CCP's...
I mean, that's by China
Yes.
in...
Death by China.
Death by China. Okay.
So also in every deeds that the CCP is doing, to generate generating those threats to the world.
It's true. There are 2 points I would like to make on this, Michael. Is that the first thing is about the state-owned enterprises, because this is one of the most commitment made by CCP, is that the SOEs, they're going to operate free of state influence. But on the contrary, the state-owned enterprises, they grew much stronger. They're growing much stronger, right? We can see they monopolize China's pillar sectors, the telecommunication, oil and gas, and infrastructure, and even real estate, right? They are the foreign companies. They cannot even enter the Chinese market. And because even if they enter Chinese market, they cannot do anything business into these sectors, right? The sector is highly controlled by the SOEs.
Not even the private enterprises domestically.
Yes.
Yeah, they would say, give us your technology, right? For companies trying to do business in China, they were forced to transfer their technologies to the Chinese. Some they still do it, but later they'll find out China will build similar industries or companies to replace them. So in the long run, those Western companies giving up their patents and trade secrets, they ended up losing their business in China.
Exactly. And the Chinese government, the CCP actually used the foreign companies as leverage, because they opened the market to these companies, but they used them as lobbyists. They asked them to lobby for the CCP to protect their interest in the United States. So that's what the CCP has been doing.
I want to say something. When I was young, I know the West people, they follow the rules. But now look these 10 points. How the Chinese people, we have firewall, we don't know the truth. But West people, how they let this happen and let CCP lie the West world so many long time. So that's really, really dangerous for the people. So no matter who you are, if you're watching our show, please tell your friend to know this, to watch this show.
Yeah, I agree with Ricky. Actually, the CCP, it's by joining the WTO, they managed to accumulate so much, I would say, foreign reserves, mainly in USD dollars, right? And they use this money actually to BGY the entire world.
Can you explain BGY?
Yeah, it's like the BGY is like blue is for the cyber, right, for the internet, and green is and for green is yellow is for the sexual induction, or this kind of I would say sending them prostitutes and things like that, and also yellow is money, right?
Yes. So money, and also some yellow. We all know I see your point. And yeah, I agree that what Ricky just mentioned, that there is a point, is the Great Firewall, that the CCP has been built this wall to block the information in and out. They basically literally use the technology coming from America, and they block the information. Why? And it not only that not only for those common people in their daily lives, but also it is an impediment to in terms of the commercial area. And here that we list a screenshot from the Global Times, that we all know that the Global Times is a just a
nationalistic,
Chinese, yeah,
nationalistic newspaper,
Fake news.
agitating.
It's
They've been spreading, the
red
greatest.
press.
Well, they've been spreading lies actually every day.
Yeah, so it's belongs to CCP. It speaks for CCP, and it says that when it comes to the topic of the Great Firewall, and the Global Times says that the Chinese people should not be misled by the West, because this misleading is an external intrigue. Is it a plot? Because it's for me, it sounds ridiculous. Because what we have seen, that the especially after joining the WTO in 2001, the Americans and the Western, even the whole world, embraced the China's development, and people applaud to that. And then when after gaining this rapid development, and the press, the CCP's press, just to say that, okay, the West has some, how to say, the bad ideas on China, and they even has the external intrigue. I mean, this is obviously was a total lie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. They were actually sorry. Actually, they were afraid of, I would say, the Western ideologists, as we can see those people. Well, in China, I mean, and especially those people working for the propaganda, right? They were actually afraid of these and the Western, I would say, the universal. It's like, the basic liberal ideas, right? The liberal rights, I mean, human rights and issues and things like that, and that's why they would call it, I mean, misleading internal intrigue.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, Vicky, go.
You go. I'm sorry. I want quick talk 2 points. What I think more people want to know what is BGY, and especially what is sexual yellow. So I talk 2 points. Firstly, I have kind of experience. One time I with a country, for Europe country, and to go to China to see the market, and when they landed to Hong Kong, and everything is 5-star, everything is luxury, and when they from Hong Kong go to Beijing, and they buy plane, they buy the high-speed train, that's everything they say is good. They cannot say the Tibet, cannot say the Uyghur. And the second thing about yellow is Miles Kwok used to say some official people in China, they bring the officer.
Temptation?
Yeah, they bring the officer in West World and go to the Macau, the city, and they let them win the gamble. They let them win. And
is it like sexual bribery or bribery through gambling? I mean,
firstly, the people, they don't know. They only know they are very lucky. They keep win. And after the money, and just some people just send the beautiful girl to you, and you just accept it. Like, yeah, that's all. What I say.
Yes.
That's the yellow part, right, of the BGY plan.
Yeah.
It's really horrible.
Yeah, really terrifying. And here we have covered the Beijing Olympic Games. It's CCP's unkept promise on human rights and environmental issues. Here that we listed 4 points that the CCP promised before, during, and after the Olympic Games. It's about the Green Olympics, in environment, and also high-tech Olympics, the free and open Olympics, People's Olympics. I mean, for us, it's the result, what they were doing is clear, and also the result is clear. As for the free and open Olympics, I mean, nobody believed that the CCP gives the free press expression, the free press media to the medias coming from around the world.
Right. Actually, Beijing used Olympic Games to have this nationalism sentiment across the country, and furthermore, they use it to have a tighter grip on the people.
Yes, and also
I agree with that. It's true, and even for this, I mean, we can say they said something like Green Olympics, right? Promised by CCP is going to building the capital city into an ecological city, but we can see is like Beijing. They've got something called the word Beijing cough, right? Because of the dust pollution. I mean, even after the Beijing Olympic Games, it's something that just comes and goes. So the environmental issues was never solved, right?
Yes, and after they expressed this promise on Green Olympics, and Beijing has never always in the nightmare of the covering with the smog, the dust, that the air condition there is really worrying people.
Right. I remember that when some athletes went to Beijing wearing masks, facial masks, and Beijing protested. They was criticizing those athletes. Do you remember? Those American for wearing
facial. And at that time, the Global Times even criticized, these American athletes. I remember that time.
For what?
It's to say
because air pollution in 2008, there were already air pollution in Beijing. So some of the athletes were wearing facial masks when they landed in Beijing. But Beijing took it as an insult, and they criticized the athletes.
Yeah, they just want
for their overreaction. That's what the Global Times.
Yes, and then here that the change just showed us a picture coming from the Tibet, I think also in 2008.
Right. Olympics supposed to be an opportunity to display harmony and democracy, but on the contrary, CCP massacred many Tibetans in the same year. That was March of 2008.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's not only in Tibet. Even after the Olympic Games, we can see the human rights record in China continue to deteriorate. So it's not improving. I mean, think about today. So many people, they support Miles Kwok, but they were sent into prison. They were persecuted by the policemen in mainland.
Yes.
Right. As China is developing economically, the human rights conditions are getting worse by the day. That's why we have this revolution of expose led by Miles Kwok, and people all over the world are waking up. They should not assist CCP anymore, economically or politically.
Yeah.
They should join in the fight against CCP. And the Hong Kong people is a good example. They are brave enough to stand up to the communists and demonstrate and express their fight for democracy and the freedom.
Yes. Exactly. That's why we all support them.
Yeah, so sadly, there is a CCP ruling and lying to Chinese people and the world for these decades of years. And luckily, we know what is happening, what has been happening. And then here, yeah, we have a poster from the VOG, and it was made by a volunteer, and it's a brief summary of the CCP's unkept promises. It listed all those unkept promises for CCPs for these decades of years. I mean, in Hong Kong, in WTO agreement, and also before the establishment of the CCP, they also had many this kind of the history with the KMT, another party, for the domestic war. And then here, we all know what is happening, how great the Hong Kong people are, that they are acquiring their rights for freedom and rule of law. So they bravely walk on the street, and may God bless Hong Kong. And we want to send a warning to our brave Hong Kong citizens that don't get cheated by CCP. Just look back to their history, and also the world's power of justice is on your side. So keep your protest until CCP finally surrendered to people's power.
Yeah. I just want to say.
Yeah, Ricky.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I just want to say one thing. When I say the picture, the Tibet picture, I don't know say what. I just don't know why the government is still there, and it's a problem. It's a problem of the Chinese people. It's a shame of the world, the whole world, the whole Chinese people. We must think about it.
Yeah, how cruel
I
they
agree
are.
with you. They were brutal. I mean, towards his own people. I agree with you, Michael, is that the Hong Kong citizens, they should never trust the CCP, because during the Chongqing negotiation, actually they promised the KMT that they're going to resolve all the conflicts through peaceful negotiations. But later we know it is the CCP who launched the war. I mean, who relaunched the war, right? They also promised the entire Chinese people through their media that they are fighting for Chinese people's freedom. They're going to build a joint government where the Chinese people can enjoy the freedom as the American people do, right? But what we know, after the foundation of the People's Republic of China, all the Chinese people became slaves, right? We were enslaved by the CCP. So they were not promising. Well, they never kept their promises.
Okay, what a cruel reality. And so we just want to send a message to Hong Kong people that you must not be fooled, and you are not safe unless your cleanse has been fulfilled, has the satisfied response. So the accusation of the protesters as riot should be cancelled, because there is only the peaceful protest, and then the extradition bill is permanently withdrawn. Yeah, sure. That's the key point here for what they are striving for these days. And the third is about the Carrie Lam and John Lee and the Teresa Cheng and the Stephen Law must resign, because they are the friends of the kleptocrats. So they are also the bad group in Hong Kong government. And last but not least, about the CEO is decided by the by the general election, that's also
It's like
promised.
universal suffrage to the Hong Kong people so that they can elect their own chief executive.
I mean, this basic this basic right that promised by CCP has already been acquired by the Hong Kong people for many years. Okay, I think
Yeah. I
Thank you.
want to say
Ricky.
something is the Hong Kong people. I think me and all of my friends on the VOJ, we really want to join the protest in Hong Kong. And I just want to say all the Chinese people support Hong Kong, and we both need to drop down the stereotype. And the Chinese young people, just like Hong Kong young people, we really support you guys.
Yeah, although we are away from Hong Kong, but yeah, in front of the screen, and we can do our best to support all just a tiny work, but it is we want to show that we are standing with you, so you are not alone. So keep fighting for the rights that you deserve. Okay, thank you, and thank you for listening. And also thank you for our friends Kevin, James, and Ricky. And I think we will see you soon. See you in the next episode.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
See
you.
you.